They were like, we want to play one of your other songs like on the radio. I know not like
they didn't want to do
Of course.
Why is that? Is it a tempo thing?
I think it was the butt. That's
well, that's not very inclusive of them.
Yeah.
Justice for butt.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Grab the KY, get yourself ready. You got some sliding to do. Hanging out with TL and the boys, maybe some critters too. So get your phone and get on the gram. You know where to find the man. Slide into the DMs. Girl, what's on your mind? Slide into the DMs. Well, baby, take your time. Slide, slip it on in. Here we go again. DM Monday.
Welcome back, y'all, to episode 35 of the DM Monday podcast. We're going to have a great time today. We have Meghan Patrick as our guest and her manager, Randy McFadden. What's up, girls?
That was incredible.
I really wanted you to hear it.
It just kept going. I was like, it's going to be done now. And then I was like, no.
And it kept getting better. And, thank you for that.
So Ben Miller wrote that jingle, and he was like, I'm going to get Cody Parks to sing it. So
that Ben Miller.
Yeah.
Man of many talents.
Yes. So you played the Opry last night. How awesome was that?
I mean, the best night of my life. Sorry, Mitchell. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that I've wanted for so long and dreamed about. I mean, I said last night, I've been chasing this for 22 years now, since I started my first band when I was 14. And the last couple of years, especially, were such an incredibly difficult challenge for me. Like, it was rough for so many reasons. And to go through all that and then have that moment on stage, it's insane how quickly all that like pain and suffering just goes away when you have that moment. It's like clean slate. Like, I got it. I'm here. I'm doing it. And all of a sudden you just are like, I'm invincible. I can do anything. Like, I got this, you know?
Was it hard to keep together, like, when you're singing your first song?
I gotta be honest, like, I was proud. I was impressed by myself because I was worried because I never get stage fright. Like, that's never been an issue for me. I love being on stage. So I just get I get amped up, but I don't get nervous. I'm like, I know what I'm doing. Just walk out there and do it.
Yeah.
And I was worried, but this is the Opry. There's going to be sensory overload from the second you walk through that artist entrance. It's crazy. It's like one of the craziest 2 hours of my life. And it just kind of lost track of what was the original question. Sorry.
No, it's just the Opry. How was it?
Yeah.
Randy, how was that experience for you?
Honestly, I was emotional all day. Like, I would tell people, send texts that was basic information. I was like, be there at 5. And I would start tearing up. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Yeah. But once we got there, I was kind of mad at myself for not being as emotional because I went straight into manager mode.
We both did.
Yeah, you need to be here. Where's this? Waiting on this person. And I was like, feel something, bitch. And
you cried after.
I did. And it was somewhere halfway through her first song, once she was on stage and everybody was good and I knew that the plaques were in place and everything I needed to do, I was like, oh my God, Megan's on stage. And that's when it hit me and I really started crying. And also everyone kept videoing my reaction. So.
Yeah, which is your nightmare.
Yeah. So I was like, remember to be human, Randy.
I haven't played the Opry yet, but I will. And when I do, there's going to be a lot of people that thought that I wouldn't, and I will. But
and that, let me tell you, that feeling, it's an honor, no matter how quickly or easily it comes to you. But when you fucking fought for it and you clawed your way there against all odds. Yeah. That feeling, that's an unmatched feeling I've ever had in my life last night.
But when Ella played the Opry recently and Jamie Johnson introed her out there, I wasn't able to go because I ended up getting a show in Denver, but she was showing me, they make you the video or whatever. And we were at the house watching it and I was like, if that ever happens to me, I think I might throw up on the stage. Like you, I don't get nervous to play on stage. I remember my first open mic I ever played, my first time on stage, I was nervous as shit. There was 3 people in the bar.
That's worse than 100 people.
My best friend Chris. But as soon as my feet hit the stage, I was like, let's fucking go,
let's do it,
you know? Yeah. But there's I got to go Dylan Carmichael, when he put his Son of a record out, like, I don't know if y'all remember, but it was like on every billboard, like around town.
Yeah.
And I called him that
As it
day.
should be.
I was like, dude, you're on every fucking billboard. Like, this is so cool. Cause I met him out at Larry's during COVID. He was like, what are you doing tonight? I was like, I don't have any plans. He was like, well, I'm playing the Opry if you want to come. And I got to go like in the back and like watch him rehearse. Like I got the full experience, you know.
It's pretty cool.
And he got the standing ovation. His mom came out and sang with him that night. And I was just like, I'm gonna do this one. That's like I mean, of course you always dream of the Opry as a kid, but
we're
like,
manifesting it.
It was exactly.
It's
it
gonna
was
happen,
just
bud.
like I was just like, damn, this is like really cool, you know.
Yeah. All I can say, you don't want it easy.
Yeah.
You want it when it's right.
That's
Because when
right.
it's right, you can't you can't match that.
If it
You know
comes
that.
easy, it
You know
leaves
what it's
easy.
like to overcome something.
Yeah,
That is so much sweeter than it just kind of being handed to you.
for sure.
Before you
without a
even
doubt.
know how powerful it is.
Yeah.
You know?
That place is magical. Even as like a
It really
content
is.
creator, like every time I go there and walk through the artist entrance, I like feel just, it's like, holy shit, this is crazy. And like, just walking down the hall and like seeing all the rooms and stuff,
Yep.
it's unmatched.
Well, I have to say, like, when you're talking about, I thought I might like throw up. The only time I felt like that was when we were like driving there, and I got Mitchell to drive because I was just like, please, like, I hate traffic, I hate driving out there, I get stressed about that, I get road rage.
It's kind of confusing how you get in there.
It is
weird.
And so I was like, he's like, I got you. And then we hit all this like traffic, and I'm like, he knows I'm freaking out. He's like, babe, I'm gonna get you there. It's okay. But then we got there, and I like literally, it felt like the second I walked through that entrance, there was a different feeling, and I was just like so happy, but kind of like at peace. It was it was like it was a palpable like energy in there.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you were told you're gonna play it?
Yes.
What's that story?
We were shooting the music video for hours, and you know, I just finished hair and makeup. Ford, my director, he's like, all right, you come over here, sit on this couch. We've got lights, and I think we're about to shoot. And then he's like, oh shit. He's like, oh, that's weird. Why is Terry Clark FaceTiming me? I was like, oh, you know Terry? Like, hell yeah. So I like jump up and jokingly I'm like, hey Terry, we're kind of busy. Like, we're shooting a music video. Like, huh. No idea. And she's like, well, I just want to see if you're free April 11th. And I'm still, at this point, I still don't know what's going on. Haven't noticed that everyone in the room has their phones up, like videoing me. I'm still like, duh. I was like, I don't know, Randy, am I free April 11th? and she goes, well, I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to make your debut at the Opry. And I just like, bleh, like puddle. I just puddled, human puddle. And like, it was awesome. And like, it just, Terry has been like a mentor and friend to me. And she's, you know, and she's so special to me for a lot of reasons because she's wonderful and talented. But she's also one of the few Canadians at all, let alone a woman, that broke through into Nashville, into America, and had like a worldwide career.
Girls lie too.
That's right. And I'm like, that's badass because it's hard to do.
Yeah.
As a Canadian, as a woman, you know.
For sure.
But she was just like, I'm gonna do this, and that's you just decide you're gonna do it, and then you just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Every day.
What's growing up in Canada like?
It's real cold, eh?
Yeah.
No, honestly, you know what? I love where I grew up, and I wouldn't, you know, trade that time because obviously there's been times where I think, oh, what would have happened if I had moved to Nashville sooner?
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in such a good place where I've come to a place of like just being at peace with my past, whatever it is, and just believing that like everything happens for a reason in a certain timing, on God's timing. And I think it was a great place. I mean, I also had like a whole other life in Canada as a snowboarder.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, I was a competitive snowboarder. I was on the
That shit's so
Ontario
hard
team.
to do.
She's good at everything.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
gotta
I
talk
was
about
like,
that.
I wanted to go, like, I was trying to go to the Olympics. That was my dream for the longest time. And so one of my best friends, Matt Morrison, we like grew up together. He's like a brother to me. And he got into competing. He's like, you should do it with me. I was like, hell yeah. And he went to 3 Olympics, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the most talented athletes I've ever known. But for me, senior year, I'm having like the season of my life. And I'm warming up at a competition. And
So sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
In high school, did they have like snowboarding teams or like?
it wasn't through my school. It was like more like a
But
club.
do they have that at schools? Or
Not
no?
at my school.
Yeah.
Some schools maybe.
Yeah.
Are you doing like tricks on the snowboard? Like,
So I was mainly doing racing, but I did do some like like slope style and stuff like that.
Could you do a 360?
Yes.
A lot harder than it sounds.
She's already a lot cooler than you.
Well, so I was warming up. I was at a slope style competition. I was warming up, and I went off. I was trying to show off. Honestly, I was that girl. I was always trying to like keep up with the guys and show them.
You're still that girl.
I'm still that girl. Let's be honest. And I went into the jump way faster than I should have, and it had a lot more vert than I expected, and so it kind of shot me straight up. And so when I went to rotate, I overcorrected. I went my head over, basically did almost like a front flip, but didn't complete the rotation, landed on my head / shoulder and like suitcased on top of myself. Snapped my collarbone, dislocated shoulder, broken ribs, broke my back, like L3, 4, compression fracture. Yeah. Severe concussion. I was out cold for minutes. Like, and then like, I don't remember that whole day. And that was one of the lowest points of my life. Like I was devastated. Like, my season was over. I couldn't walk for I have doctors telling me I'm lucky that I'm not paralyzed, and like I'm having headaches and like it's miserable. And I turned to music during that time. Yeah. I started writing lyrics. I was like bedridden. I couldn't do anything. And so I listened to music and picked up a guitar and wrote lyrics. And when I came out on the other side of that recovery, I had a new dream and I had a new path. And so as devastating as that was, I didn't understand it at the time, but it was God saying, hey, I got something else over here for you, and it's even better. You don't even know it yet. Yeah. So,
that's
sorry.
awesome. So we played out in Denver at Grizzly Rose. And Mitch comes on the road pretty much every weekend. He's like, dude, when we go out there, let's go snowboarding. Like, I want to go snowboarding.
Yeah, it's been a lifelong dream of mine.
I love that. It's great.
We never took like family trips as a kid, so like I've never seen snow.
That was all my family trips.
And I was like, I have to snowboard.
Dude,
like,
it's great.
It's a bucket list item, and I called Trey's manager, who's been numerous times, and I was like, dude, what are the chances we stay behind and just fly home and snowboard? And he was like, fuck yeah.
Love that.
So I'm like really competitive. I'm really athletic.
Relatable.
It doesn't seem like it, but I did play
I believe it.
every sport I could get into as a kid. And so I was like, dude, I'm going to crush snowboarding. Yeah. I've longboarded. I've done I've wakeboarded. I've done all this shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to crush it. So
I love
I'm
your
like,
belief in yourself.
I'm walking around talking shit in the group. I'm like, I'm going to do a 360 the first day. Like, and I'm like,
I knew I wasn't going.
If only he knew.
I knew I wasn't going because like I know I would fall once and like have to sing on a boot, for like the next 3 months.
Yeah.
I made bets with everybody in the band. I was like, you have to shave your beard if I do a 360. You have to like do this. Like I was just left and right. I was so confident, and every single person told me there's no shot in hell. And I get there, and we strap in, and I'm like. I remember I was like, I'm going to fucking do it. And I'm terrified of heights. And we get in the fucking lift thing. And I'm like, here we go. And first off, you strap in and they're like, all right, now you have to like with one foot, like fucking like do some shit behind you to go.
Yeah. Is that the quickest you've ever been humbled in your life?
Yeah. And I'm like, what? So I'm struggling to get from like 20 yards in front of me. I don't know how to fucking move in this thing. And I'm like, I'll just take it off and I'll put it on when I get up there. And they're like, no, that's not how it works. And they're like, so I'm like, okay, I finally get up there. And they're like, all right, now it's our turn. And I'm like, whoa, how do I get on this fucking thing? And I'm with Nick Gorman. And he's like, dude, just go up there, just fucking like do it. And luckily it went well. And we get on this thing. I'm terrified of heights. And right in the middle of up the hill, it stops.
Oh no.
Complete stop.
Terrible.
And I'm fucking terrified. And I'm sitting here on this little swing talking to Nick. And like halfway through his conversation, I looked down and I said, hey, Nick, I need you to shut the fuck up. I said, I'm having a full-blown anxiety attack and you are not fucking helping. And he was like, okay, my bad. So we're sitting there in silence.
I know the feeling.
Then comes down the hill like the paramedics of fucking snowboarding, whatever they are, in red and stuff. Yeah. And they have a sled behind them with this kid in it. And all I can see is wrapped up, his body's wrapped up, and there's just his face is covered in blood. And there's like fucking 7 of them skiing down with him. And like as fast as fuck, dude. Yeah. They're probably going 100 miles an hour. And I just looked at Nick and I was like, start talking again. Yeah. Like, I'm fucking, this is not it, dude. And I got up there. Getting off the lift was a fucking shit show. But I guess the person at the entrance of the lift told the lady at the exit that I was going to be a shit show. So I get up there and I could see her through the window.
Oh no,
and she was like,
you were that guy?
She's like, I got you. And I was like, is she pointing at me, Nick? And he was like, I think so. And I was like, cool. So she like slowed it down. But I got off real good and busted my ass. Over and over.
If there's one thing that's going to happen, it's that.
Like, and I mean, I started to pick up and I could go really fast, but then I would just like chicken shit out. Like, the second day I got a refund of my lift ticket and used that money to go snowmobiling.
Hey, you know what?
And it was fucking
okay,
awesome.
I'm gonna be honest. The way you started the story, I was like, if he tells me that he miraculously like pulled this off,
I'm calling him out.
This would be the most insane story I've ever heard.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know which direction I was gonna go. I was like, this is either like the most inspirational story.
It was riveting.
Or
no, complete shit show. Everybody asked me how it went. I had to be like, yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, you're definitely, if there's one thing you're going to have, it's a bruised ass.
I have the videos.
And you never really stopped.
Maybe we'll post them on here. Mitch getting up, going about 10 foot, and just falling down again.
And like watching the videos, I was going so slow, but I could have swore I was fucking flying. Like, and ended up dislocating my shoulder.
Did you really?
Yeah. Dang. And then popped it right back in out of adrenaline, I guess.
Oh, wow.
It was like a 10 out of 10 pain, and I like jumped up real quick and did this, and it like popped.
That's a good reflex to have.
It was awful.
You just snapped in. You're like, I'm gonna just do this. I'm gonna get it over with while I got this adrenaline. That's
the story you tell. It's like you're like, I just popped my shoulder blade back in.
Is that your first date story?
Back in place.
No.
Is that what you tell girls on your first date?
I don't. I'm too competitive, so I don't really tell a lot of people that I'm bad at snowboarding.
Yeah, I get it.
I still would like to think I'm good at it.
I like don't really want to do something I'm not good at.
So the fact that you're good at snowboarding is bad fucking ass.
Well, thank you.
Do you ever? Yeah, I mean, she dips. I mean, she does. You know?
That's insane.
Thank you.
Like, do you still snowboard ever?
You know,
did you give it up?
No, I mean, I haven't like given it up. I haven't gone in forever just because I haven't really had the opportunity. I've been living here. I've been on the road a ton. I would love to go. My sister and I have actually been trying to like plan a trip because she snowboards too. She used to compete a little bit too back in the day. And then she keeps having kids, so it hasn't happened yet. But I would love to go. Like if I had the opportunity, I would 100% be down.
Do you think you'd still shred? Like 360
I mean,
still under the belt?
She wouldn't be trying to do no tricks.
No,
or nothing.
I would definitely not be trying any tricks. The level of stupidity, like I mean, I would be so mad if I like fell and broke my wrist. I've broken both my wrists twice.
Oh wow.
Each twice. And so I'm like, if I fell and broke my wrist and I couldn't play guitar, I would be so mad at it's just not worth it, you know?
Yeah.
But I would definitely, I'd go shred.
Too.
Like I'd go ride.
Have you snowboarded?
No, I can't barely walk and chew gum at the same time. Like I know my limits. I know that nothing that involves coordination.
Good to know what you're good at.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing physical is my expertise.
Yeah.
So we have this thing. Do you think that this Mitch looks like your Mitch?
I can see some resemblances.
Yeah, because he gets it all the time.
The hat, like they wear the same. They wear the same style hat, the beard. You guys you're
husky.
You're barrel chested men. You know?
Yeah.
You have a presence.
I definitely have some pounds on him.
Like Mitchell always walks like he's ready to start some shit.
Yeah.
And he's got, and it's that, and then the way I've been told his dad, the 10 and 2, his feet at 10 and 2, he put that in one of his songs. Sadly, I never got to meet his dad, but his mom has told me, and he has the same thing. It's so funny.
Yeah, I remember the first time that I don't think we met, but the first time I saw you like in public, you had a dip in your mouth, and I was like, "Dude, that girl might kick my ass if I like look at her."
I mean, Trey, I'm older and wiser now. I would never try to take on a man of your size, but if you were my size, I might.
What about the guy that screamed, "Show me your tits"?
Oh, I didn't have to take care of him. I didn't have to touch him.
Yeah,
I knocked him out. That was in Ontario. I was like really excited about this show because I was headlining. It was one of the first times I headlined like a pretty big festival, and it was in my home province. And the thing about that night too is like they were delayed, and then like the opener went like way over their set time, and I was kind of like pissed off. Like you just don't do that. I mean, a couple minutes, whatever. I understand, but like
you do that, you're fired.
After a certain point, it's it's like man, you just don't do that.
Yeah.
And it was already a late set time to begin with for after people have been drinking in the heat since, you know.
You want to play you want to play for people that are like, there's like always that
present still, not just hammered
not
and like
this
passing
on the
out.
subs,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like you want. If you're the headliner, you should have the best slot, like the best crowd, whatever.
And you've earned it to get to that point. Yeah.
And so I was kind of pissed because like the crowd dwindled a little bit because some of these people had kids and stuff, you know. And so I was just already kind of a little frustrated, on edge. We get out there. We start playing, and like a couple songs in, I'm over it. I'm good. We're playing. The crowd's great. And then I was tuning my guitar and introducing a song, and I hear this guy yell, "Show me your tits." And I just ignored it. I didn't do anything. Kept tuning. Started talking again, and then he says it again, louder. And I just went, "Today I have the time." And then I went on to someone should actually count how many times I said fuck in that video because it's a lot. I just said I was like, "Get the fuck out."
Were you making eye contact?
Oh,
with
I was looking,
because
when first I was like, "Who said that?" And crickets. And I was like, "No, don't be a pussy, admit it."
Yeah.
Who fucking said that?
Yeah.
And everybody just kind of goes and like they all just like totally snitched on him. And I was like, "You get the fuck out. Get the fuck out." I was like, "I didn't like work my whole life like doing this, like for you to degrade me, to like show me your tits. Like, this isn't a fucking strip club. I work too damn hard, motherfucker. Fuck you."
Yeah, that's right. And the crowd got riled up. And
my band behind me was the best part. They were just like, "Yeah." Like,
I feel like if I'm shouting to a guy, "Show your tits," it's funny. But like you do it to a girl, like, "Fuck you, man."
Yeah,
you know,
just completely disrespectful.
Yeah, it's just like I'm like pouring my blood, sweat, and tears out on the stage with these songs that like I painstakingly wrote and created, and like I'm trying to put on a show, and you are degrading me to that. Like, fuck you. And anybody, the worst, as supportive as most people were, the worst were the people who are like, "It's part of your job. You just need to get over it." I said, "No, the fuck it isn't.
Not at all.
It's not my fucking job." Like, if we were sitting in a fucking boardroom having a meeting and this woman was making a presentation and someone said, "Show us your tits," like, would someone be like, "Well, you just need to get over it. It's part of your job." Fuck you. I think you can't be that dumb, can you? But people can.
Anybody that says that is not on your team.
No, I don't.
And if they are, they ain't no more.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, that's the thing is like that stuff used to bug me. But then I'm like, wait, you don't want to be associated with those people. You don't want them as fans.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want your fucking money. I don't want you at all. You stay the fuck away. Like, we're vibing over here doing cool shit, and you suck.
So did they kick the guy out immediately? Like, did you get to watch him get fucking thrown out?
He was taken out. And I heard from a few people that he got his ass kicked in the parking lot. Yeah. His ex-girlfriend actually slid into my DMs.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
And she was just like, I can't remember if she said she was there.
You don't have a screenshot of it?
Probably somewhere. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really like.
That's all good.
I just, and I didn't want to like. I would never like show it or anything out of respect for her. Yeah. But she, she just basically. I can't remember if she said she was at the show or she heard about it. But she basically was just like, "I used to date him. He's a fucking asshole. Like, thank you for doing that. Like, that makes me feel better. Like, I kind of feel like you stood up for me too, And I was just like, fuck yeah, girl. I was like, that guy's a loser. I just embarrassed him. Like, I literally knocked him out in the crowd without touching him.
Isn't it every girl's dream to like have their ex publicly humiliated?
Right? Like literally,
that's my dream.
I would have, if I thought I could pay for that at any point in time, I would have paid for it.
And by somebody else so that you don't look like the crazy ex.
Your hands
just
are
like
clean.
Sitting back. You're
just sitting there like, oh,
I knew he was a piece of shit. No, everyone else does too.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love the people ratting him out. They're like, "Yep, this guy. It was him."
Well, because that's the thing. Like, they were annoyed too. Like, nobody thought he was funny. Like, they were enjoying the show and he was disrupting it. Like, it wasn't just me like throwing a fit and being a diva. Like, they were pissed off too. Like, it's like not funny, dude. Oh, you can't take a joke. A joke, the prerequisite of a joke being a joke is that it's fucking funny. Like, when did that get funny?
I remember like the first time I ever saw anybody do something like that was Jason Isbell. Somebody was fighting at his show. And like his music's so chill. Like, it's not
that's
somewhere.
Not the place.
He was like, "This isn't you might do that somewhere, but you're not going to do that here." And like,
he's like,
he got the security. He's like, "Take this guy back there to get him his money back and kick him out." Like, I was like, "That's badass,"
Hell yeah.
We had a fight break out at one of our shows in Anderson one time. And I was like, y'all got to break that up. There's only like fucking 200 people in here. If they kick, we're going to be playing to like 5 people. Okay. Let's not
we really need you here.
Yeah, we need you here. That's trying to put on the show. So just to go back for a second, because me and you have crossed paths, just being in town. But like, I know you're from Canada, but like, how did you so did you just, after your snowboarding incident, you just started playing music? Were you playing like acoustic gigs at first, or like did you were you writing songs, or how did all that
I had already been doing music while I was snowboarding too. Like my first band, I think we were like 13 or 14, and my friend Hill, who's also now like a very successful songwriter, producer in her own right in Canada. She played guitar, and she was just like cool. And she's like, hey, do you want to be in my band and sing? And I was like, hell yeah. So we found a drummer and a bass player, and like our principal at the school gave us a room to like make it like our jam room.
Yeah, man, that's cool.
And dude, we used to
were like a duo, or were y'all just like
it was she was mostly singing harmonies, and I was singing lead. I wasn't playing guitar at this point. I was just singing.
Did you come up with a cool name, or was it just your name?
Yeah, we did. We were called the Sirens.
Oh, nice.
And so our gigs initially, we literally our principal would let us miss like our first like not period of classes, but whatever it was, like assembly kind of thing. And we would go to other schools and play for their assembly.
Oh, that's
like
what school
their
is
assembly
this?
Was the Sirens show. Yeah. And it was just like
cool.
kids sitting there in a gymnasium, and we're just there.
What kind of music were you playing? Was it country music or more like?
No, it was like, like we did a lot of No Doubt covers. I was obsessed with Gwen Stefani. So I would say we weren't like ska. We weren't like, we were a 4-piece band of like 13-year-olds. We did have our bass player though, she was older. So we had like the cool older bass player in our band, was kind of legitimized us.
Bought y'all beer and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brought us the cool
the
status.
drinking age is over there is what?
Like 18? Or
It was 19 where I grew up. There's a couple provinces where it's 18. So when I went to university in Montreal, the drinking age was 18, and I was already 18 in my first year. And so like our frosh week is insane.
What is the frosh week?
I don't know what's the term for like
assembly week, or like
do you have a week before classes start where you just party?
Syllabus week.
It's syllabus week.
Syllabus week,
where you just get syllabus. You go to class, but they just hand out like what we're gonna do. You don't really study.
We don't. This is like nothing to do with school. Like classes, nothing. It's literally like you just come to campus, and there's just like drinking games and activities and like bar crawls and like we did like they did like
welcome to hell.
We like put on like a show. Like made up a dance and like did the dance from old school and had we didn't have KY jelly, but the wrestling, we just had like the wrestling. And yes, I did it. That might come out one day. Yeah. But anyway,
did y'all?
Crazy.
So were you in the Sirens in college, or did that?
No, that kind of dissipated after my injury. That's when I ended up going to school because I wasn't going to snowboard. And so I was studying opera. Oh, nice. Because I also did all the Royal Conservatory like grades. Because when I started singing lessons like 12 years old, and I did one year of that, and I hated it. But I loved the city and like the people and the school. I just didn't like the program. I was like, I kind of did opera because I was like good at it, but I wasn't like really passionate about it. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll go do this. And so then I switched into the jazz program, and I met a couple guys that were players, like horn players and stuff. And we started a band called the New Groove Orchestra. And it was 9 dudes and me. We had like a full horn section, rhythm section. And I was just the singer. I didn't play. And this was kind of like when I really started songwriting and like collaborating kind of. So like a lot of the guys would bring me like arrangements, and then I would just write like the melody and lyrics, or like we'd write something together. And we did some cool shit. Like we toured. That was my first taste of the road, and I loved it. And that's saying a lot when you're jammed into a van with 9 dudes that haven't showered in God knows how long. You're sleeping on people's floors and couches.
Was it more of country, or was it more?
It was literally like Tower of Power funk band.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
cool.
It was like that feels like another lifetime.
Were you playing at this time or just singing still?
I was just singing still. Cool. Yeah.
You can find these videos somewhere on YouTube.
I mean, dude, we opened for Aretha Franklin at Montreal Jazz Fest. We opened for Tedeschi Trucks Band at the Toronto Jazz Fest, which like I almost lost. That's the one time in my life that I let my nerves get to me on stage for like one song. I was off. I was like freaking out. Yeah. And then I was like, what the fuck are you doing? get your head out of your ass and do what you know how to do. And then I was fine. And I've like never had stage fright since because I was so mad at myself for like that one song where I knew I was fucking up.
That's great. From there, what'd you do after that?
So after that,
you can get a sip of that.
I tried to. Oh, thank you.
Do you drink Miller Lite on the rig, or what's your beer of choice?
My go-tos are Miller Lite or Shiner Bock.
Nice.
I've been on a big Shiner kick lately.
Nice. You ever had those, Mcilwain?
So good. It's a Texas beer, right?
I don't know.
I think.
Yeah, it is.
So I fucked around in college, did that, hated it, and decided I was like, I want to write songs and like get a record deal. I don't need a degree. I don't want to do this. And I had a really great singing teacher at the time. At this point, I had transferred to Humber College in Toronto because they had a slightly looser program. It wasn't so like traditional. Like I was in a bluegrass ensemble while I was there. So then I ended up in a band with a guy from the town that I grew up in. And we were a duo first, the Stone Sparrows, and then we became, we ended up being the Stone Sparrows as the band. We got my buddy Jim playing upright bass and my buddy Oliver on fiddle. You met Oliver because he played that show with us.
Oh, that's right.
So we've been playing together for a long time. Yeah. And so, then we were in this bluegrass band and like made a couple records. We toured all of Canada, East Coast, West Coast, everywhere in between. And I loved it. And then, I'm leaving a part out. Sam and I were dating.
Okay.
So we were kind of like, it wasn't like a duo. It was kind of like we would trade off. Like he would sing a song lead, I would sing a song lead, harmonies, that kind of thing. He was wicked guitar player, mandolin player, like really talented. And then Jim on bass, whatever. And I played guitar and banjo, Ollie on fiddle. Yeah. And Sam and I broke up. Yeah. And after 4 years.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
We decided, we lived together, but it was like it was relatively amicable. Like it was sad and difficult, but we were like, we started something really great. Like feels shitty to like let the other guys down. Like, can we try and make this work? Yeah, and still play together. And if there's one thing about me, I ain't never gonna let a man know my feelings are hurt. And so I was like, yeah, totally, I'm cool. Yeah. Yeah. And then he started dating one of my friends and we went on the road and stayed together for a year as a band. And then it kind of fell apart for a lot of reasons too. Like Ollie and Jim started a brewery and like they all kind of had other things that they were wanting to do. And for me, it was only that. Yeah. So that's where that then begins the era of Meghan Patrick solo.
Yeah. That's when you realize that, hey, this is my dream, and that's like,
it was weird at first.
It was you that said, it's like you can go play for, all these other people, they can go play for somebody else, but at the end of the day, all you got is you. Yeah, so this is right. Like,
well, but you know what?
And though, nobody's gonna like work harder.
Yeah.
For what you want
than you.
No,
but you know what? Again, though, like I look back on that and I'm really glad everything happened. I'm glad I had that experience of always being a band as opposed to like a solo artist, because I think it's given I think it helps me create a really good energy with my band now. Oh, for sure. And understanding the importance of that and that chemistry and having your band be like family to you. Like, I don't want to be on the road with a bunch of hired guns that are great players. That's just like, you spend more time with your band than your own freaking family. Like, they need to be like family too. And that was one of the biggest challenges I faced moving to Nashville, because I like lost my band. The only person that came with me was Ollie. And so I went through like a ton of players, and you know how stressful it is trying to get players. You got a gig showing up, then you got to pay money you don't have for a rehearsal, and like, it's just exhausting and it's inefficient. But it's just a reality when you're at a certain point in your career. And like, especially, being with Mitchell, he's had the same band. I mean, his brother is his bass player. He's had the same band pretty much since day one, except for he has a drummer now that's been with them for a few years, who's now like family. And I've been on the road with them, and like, they have it. They have that it factor as a group in a band. And I feel really lucky because I feel like I'm getting that. I've had my drummer, Brian. He's been with me 3 years or 2 years?
Probably 3 years now.
Yeah. And then I just more recently brought on Lenny, my guitar player. and Latavius is now playing guitar for me.
Oh, nice.
And so Lenny and Latavius are the same person, basically. They're codependent. Like,
extensions of each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love them. Like, they're just two of my favorite people. Like, they're fun. We have the same sense of humor. We all like to smoke some weed and we love the music. Like, they love my music, like, genuinely. And that makes a difference in how they play, you know?
They also never want to let you down. It's the cutest thing. Like,
it's adorable.
We were backstage at a show once, and they were like telling me, they're like, well, I could have done this, but I could have done this. And it all came back, like, not because their egos was like, but it was because they wanted to do a great job for Meghan.
Yeah.
And I was like,
great.
I promise nobody noticed, or, you know, any of these little things.
It's harder to find that in a band than you think, because there's a ton of talented guys. That's kind of like the base, the bare minimum, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Nashville. Everyone's
It's
talented.
Nashville. Everyone can play.
Right.
And especially, like, and not to, like, put down my own music or anything, but it's not fucking rocket science, you know? It's country music.
Country music, baby.
You know, it's not like anything that crazy. And so anybody can learn that, but, like, can you be a good person? Can you have the same, like, morals as me?
Can you be a good hang?
Yeah,
you know?
can you be a good hang? Can I trust you around my sister?
Yeah.
You know, can I, like, I don't know. It's just like, or my mom or my dad. It's like, what, like, I don't know. I think that's, like, really important, and it feels good when you finally feel like you get that, and
For sure.
they're matching your energy and your work ethic.
I think though that goes into, like, your character. Like, you said,
you set the tone.
Being in a band before and then going solo, like, you have, like, a good grasp on, like, empathy for your other members.
Definitely,
and just being a good person,
which
like,
makes it hard sometimes to be the boss,
the leader. Yeah,
And it goes back to, like, what you're saying. Everything is much better when you earn it.
Yeah.
And, you know, you earned all that stuff by your experience.
There's no shortcut to a lot
of
of these lessons. Like, you just have to live them and go through them. You cannot skip those steps. And I'm not trying to, like, throw shade on anybody, but we see artists come into this town quickly and skip a lot of steps. And aside from the fact that, like, we all, like, secretly are kind of pissed off about it. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Beyond that, like, in the grand scheme of things, it sucks for those artists, because a lot of them don't survive that. Yeah. And they kind of like get shot down before they ever really had a chance. You know?
I think too that, like, even some of those artists that say have never played a 4-hour cover gig before, and then they have a song that really pops off, and, you know, whether they get blasted on TikTok for whatever, something they did at a show, or vice versa, those people still have every expense at their fingertips to like get better. And I think it just comes down to the person. It's like, okay, am I going to let this ruin me, or, like, you know, am I going to do it? Yeah.
Well, and I guess at the end of the day, that's how it needs to be. It's survival of the fittest.
Like the Nick Jonas guitar solo. Y'all remember that?
Oh, Lord.
That was
how could I forget?
That was terrible. But like,
it really was.
I mean, it was awful. That's the worst thing I've ever seen.
I would die.
You know? But, like, you know,
pass away.
Even then, when that happened, I remember, like, people just going to town on him on, like, social media and stuff. I'm like, whatever. He's Nick Jonas. Like, Jonas Brothers. Like, he's gonna get better. He's not gonna let that like keep him down.
Well, and it's like, also, fuck those people. Like, okay, like Chad Kroger, for example.
Yeah.
People love to hate Nickelback. And so I know Chad. He produced half of my first record.
Yeah.
Him and I co-wrote my very first single ever. Mm-hmm. And I fucking love Chad. He is a wonderful human. I mean, he's humble. He was very gracious and generous to me. Like, he had no reason to give me a chance. Yeah. But he did. He gave me a chance. I got in a room with him, and I guess I impressed him. And then he, like, after we wrote that song, he was like, send me what you're writing. Like, I want to hear what you're up to, which didn't have to do that. Yeah. You know, he could have just, I wrote her the song and whatever. Yeah. And so I sent him a duet that I wrote, and he flipped over and he's like, I fucking love this. Like, can I produce it? I was like, yeah, can I afford you? Yeah. You know, and again, like, very generous. You know, he made it work. And we went in, and he also is the person that got Joe Nichols to sing on it. Yeah. I was nobody. I had one single, you know? And he just was like, because he asked me, he's like, who would you want? I was like, well, like, if I could have anyone, or, like, realistically. Yeah. And he's like, anyone. I was like, I wanted that really classic country sound. I said, Joe Nichols. Yeah. He goes, oh, I know Joe. He's like, I'll ask him. I was like, all right, Chad, cool. Yeah, cool. You know, and I think it was like maybe like a week or two later, not too long, he texts me. He's like, Joe's in. Damn. I was like, what? He's like, he's going to do the song. I was like, if this is a joke, this is a really mean joke, Chad. And he's like, I'm serious. He's doing it. He's like, He's like, he can't do it in Nashville. He's like, I'm going to go out on the road with him and get his vocal. He's like, I know you would have loved to go in the studio, but that's just how it works. I was like, no, like 100%.
Whatever.
Like,
if he's
however,
on the song, he's on the song.
He's on the song.
That's cool.
So he did it, and that was my first top 10 at radio.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And like,
Joe Nichols is
actually,
the man.
after that came out, I was at CRS. I was coming out of my hotel room. This is before I lived here. And I'm walking down the hall, and freaking Joe Nichols walks out of the room like 3 doors down. And I was just like I froze, because he's also like very handsome.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of disarmingly like handsome.
Yeah.
He's like a Disney prince or something. like what? And so I was like, do I say something? Do I not say something? And something in me was like, say something. So I was like, hey, Joe, I almost said Mr. Nichols. I was like, no, that's weird. I was like, hey, Joe, I'm like, I know this is super random. I'm like, but I'm Meghan Patrick, and you just sang on my song. And in my head, I'm like, please know what I'm talking about. Please know what I'm talking about. And he goes, he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, that is such a great song. And hey, he's like, that's awesome. He's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I couldn't come do it in town. And he was so nice. And like, I told him, I was like, yeah, it's my first top 10. And he's like, hell yeah, like, nicest guy ever. And so, which is cool, because like, they say like, don't meet your heroes, and like, people meet someone and they're like a dick, and you're like, oh, and it just breaks your heart, you know?
Yeah.
What was it like the first time you heard yourself on the radio? How old were you?
I was in the drive-thru at Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Getting myself a little treat.
Yeah.
And I was like, just about to pull out. I would just like, honestly, there's not much to do. So I would just get ice cream and drive around back roads and listen to music, whatever.
Nice.
And I was like pulling out, and all of a sudden it was, when the radio's down low and you kind of hear something and you're like, is that what I think? Is it? And I was like, why does that sound familiar? And so I turned it up, and I'm like, oh my God.
You were by yourself?
And I'm by myself, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, I can't even tell anyone. What do I do? And I'm just like freaking out. And so I think I called my sister, and I was like, I'm on the radio, and I'm like screaming. And then I'm trying to take a video. And then I was like, no, you know what? This moment's for me. Mm-hmm. And I just like pulled over on the side of the road, and I just sat there and like just grinned and cried. And was just like, fuck yeah. You did it.
Yeah, that's badass.
I played a show in my hometown shortly after DDID came out, and they were like, we want to play one of your other songs like on the radio. I know not like
they didn't want to do
of course.
Why is that? Was it is a tempo thing?
I think it was the butt fucked,
That's
where they cut me off.
That's where people get weird.
Room, so I think that's
well, that's not very inclusive of them.
Yeah.
Justice for butt fucking.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Are you gonna make that a t-shirt?
Yeah, but anyways,
you're welcome.
They played Shut the Door, and I remember just like, it was one of my songs that I put out like in August 2 years ago, and I remember I was in the truck and I like rolled down the window and like to the person next to me, I was like, hey, I'm on the radio. I just want to let you know that.
Honestly, if someone had been anywhere close by, I would have done the same thing.
I just recently bought a new truck, and like I ride around and listen to the highway because it has satellite radio.
Right.
It came like with a
a
year deal.
Because you're fancy now.
Yeah,
Look at you.
I don't have satellite radio.
Like,
just
I'll
showing
ride around
off
and
about
I'll
it.
just like hear people that I know in town on the radio, and I'm just like, man, this is so cool. Because like 2 years ago, we were all figuring out how we were going to try and pay our rent. It's like,
honestly,
it's so cool.
I honestly sometimes feel like hearing your friends on the radio is like as powerful as hearing yourself, because like I remember like the first time hearing Lainey on the radio, and like I was crying. Like it was just like, because I remember I was sitting with Lainey, we were on a writer's retreat, all the girls, and we're sitting down by the creek. Casey's drunk redneck ass is fishing, obviously, or trying to.
Yeah.
And me and Lainey are sitting in her truck, and we were like playing some demos and just talking. And she kind of like breaks down. She's like, man, she's like, I'm getting tired. She's like, I just don't know when this is going to happen. She's like, I've been doing this a long time. I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. And, she was like feeling really down about it. And I was like, Lainey, I'm like, I need you to hear me on this. I'm like, if there is one fucking person in this whole town, I would bet every dollar I have it's you. Like, you're doing everything right. I'm like, it takes time, and the stars have to align and like, but it's going to happen, and you have to know that.
She's a fucking superstar.
Yeah,
now.
I mean,
Like if it didn't happen, I would just want to quit. Like
if she wasn't my friend, I would hate her. I'd be like, "Fuck you! You just got everything. You're like like amazingly talented and a good person and like beautiful and like hilarious." And
y'all do have an awesome like little friend group. You know, y'all support each other. I
cannot tell you what a blessing my girls are, because I mean, one now works with me, and two actually now, and Corey, my tour manager. And you know, I never really had a lot of really close female friends growing up. Like I had friends, but like, well, I was just a tomboy. I played a lot of sports, and you know, I just was around guys all the time. And so it wasn't until I moved to Nashville, all of a sudden, the first night I was in town, I met Casey and Lainey. The first night. Casey and I had followed each other on Instagram, but we didn't know each other. We were just like, you're like, you like hunting and you're cool. Like, I'll follow you.
You say dad gum.
Yeah. And so I'm like, me and Ollie, we'd driven from Canada 14 hours that day.
Yeah.
We're like, let's go get a beer, maybe see if there's some music. So we end up at Basement East, and I'm standing in line, and I hear behind me, Meghan Patrick? And I turn around, I'm like, who knows me here?
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, it's me, Casey Tyndall from North Carolina. And I was like, hey, dude. I was like, what's up? She's like, oh my God, what are you doing here? I thought she lived in Canada. And I was like, actually, as of today, I live in Nashville. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, you gotta meet my roommate Lainey. Like, you're like a real ass country girl. Like, you're like a fucking redneck. And like, me and Lainey, we're country. And you need to come out to the house and like do that. And she's just like going off. And I was like, okay. I'm like, hell yeah. So I meet Lainey. We like exchange numbers. I think like the next weekend I hit her up and we started hanging out, and like they're sisters now. They were both backstage with me at the Opry, and like,
man, that's awesome.
And it just, the feeling between like all of us, like Randy was also one of my first friends. I met her maybe only a few months after I moved.
It wasn't long after.
Yeah.
Like, you were telling me about how you just moved here, but I do have to say your Casey Tyndall impression gets better every time you tell that story.
I've really been perfecting it.
It nailed it.
Hey, I do want to say this for the record to a few people that I know for sure watch and listen to our podcast. Randy, and then Jason Schaefer. There he is. Because they love my song "Whiskey Miss Me." It's their favorite song.
My uncle requests that at every wedding, just so you know.
They want
amazing.
it, and
then they just awkwardly stare at me.
They want me to put it back in the set, but you know, I kind of wrote that song about my ex-wife, and I'm just like,
you just don't want to play it anymore.
Kind of haven't done it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Randy was the girl in the video. So,
it was. That was like my big claim to
I forgot
fame.
about that.
That's how we met.
It's fun telling people that, by the way. Like, whenever your name comes up, I'm like, oh, I was in this music video. I'm like, what? Especially all like the coordinators that like work under me, and like,
yeah, that was like how many years ago? 5?
2017.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Like,
yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
We recorded the song on the day that the eclipse happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That thing where everybody bought the special glasses to look at the sun. That was ridiculous.
It was pretty cool in Nashville. I heard in Alabama it wasn't like as cool.
Yeah, I was in Alabama when it happened.
And Nashville was pretty cool. Like, it did get dark, and I was like,
oh yeah, it wasn't that cool for us. We all just looked at the sky.
I think I was on a plane when that happened, and we were like flying in. I feel like we kind of flew in like as it was happening and like saw it from the airport. It was weird. Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I was like in some parking lot. I went to Martin's Barbecue that day, and I saw Ralphie May, which rest in peace. He's a stand-up comedian. But I wish I would have been like on a lake somewhere, like seeing what the fish did.
I was standing in a creek somewhere. I don't even know where, but like we pulled off and we
like,
just went and stood in
the
the water.
morning bite, or like, you know what?
Yeah, they probably freaked the fuck out.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, I was at work.
Love to know.
I just remember the weird glasses.
Is there a big difference between Canada and here? For everything, music,
some
lifestyle.
ways yes, some ways no.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like the fans are not that different. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people that haven't been to Canada or tour Canada don't realize like there are some serious country fans in Canada.
Super.
I mean,
intense.
like intense, like just as much, if not more, diehard than fans I've seen here. Mm-hmm. Because the other thing too is like, as big as Canada is, there's actually not that many markets to play, and so. And so it's hard to tour and make money and like make it make sense. It's also like, it's a ton of driving. So if you're not on a bus, like you're driving 10, 12 hours on like no sleep, like in a fucking van in a trailer in the middle of winter. I've done it, and it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I've never been to Canada, but like if I had to use my imagination, like I've always just like thought of it, it would be like driving through the Midwest, like North and South Dakota.
The middle part, like, yeah, there's a lot like Saskatchewan, Manitoba, like it's very, very flat and open and literally nothing.
Like no cell phone service.
You need to like plan your gas stops accordingly because you could literally run out of gas and be nowhere near like anything. So yeah, it's pretty wild. So yeah, in that sense, like the touring is not ideal. It's difficult. Whereas like here, I mean, shit, you could tour Texas 365 days of the year and never run out of places to play. And that was a huge factor in me moving here and wanting a career here because I like to play. I love to tour. I want to do it all the time when I want, you know?
Yeah.
So that's different. And like it's that we have our own radio charts too. So that's like separate. And, you know, like for me.
And you've had number ones there, right?
I've had one number one.
Okay.
So like, but for me, coming down here, I came down here with a number one song, 3 CCMAs, and a Juno for Country Album of the Year, which is like it's like our Canadian Grammys.
Yeah,
you know?
Wow, that's cool.
And that didn't mean fuck all to anyone
never even heard
here.
of that, a Juno.
Yeah, like it just doesn't translate, and that's fine. Like I knew that coming here, that wasn't like a shock to me or anything, but it's been very humbling and it's been defeating at some points because it's like I kind of got to a really high point. I was crushing it. I was winning all the awards, headlining tour, you know, like getting a number one, like I was there, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I want more, bigger. And so I moved here and I still toured. I still kept up my career in Canada, but trying to do that here too, where I'm making like substantially less money.
Here, you're making
you know, like if I'm touring in Canada, I'm on a bus. I'm here and I'm like, okay, so I can afford 2 players in my band. And like, we're just hoping there's not like bed bugs in this hotel, you know? So yeah, but I mean,
because you're like big star there, right?
Well,
and you've done. Well, I'm gonna say a big. That kind of sounds stupid.
It's you don't want to sound douchey, like, but yes, I was successful. I am successful.
We're successful there, and you like, you know, have put your work in over there to like be where you know.
And I started from square one here, and you know, and it's funny because like,
can you go into a Walmart over there, or is it like?
I mean, in certain areas, like I definitely do get recognized, which is still crazy to me. Like, very cool. Like, never in like a crazy way. People aren't like mobbing me. It's not like if Morgan Wallen walked in somewhere.
Yeah, like I feel that. Like, but the other night we went to Broadway and this lady like saw me in there. And like Mitch was there, she was like videoing me, like zooming in on my
hate
face and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, don't.
Why did you willingly go to Broadway?
I love Broadway. Don't be hating on me.
I hate it.
I'm not hating on you. I'm
You're
impressed.
sober too.
Yeah,
but it's like
that makes less
being
sense.
sober on Broadway is my actual nightmare in every
y'all
single
gotta
way.
realize that I've been sober for this year will be 16 years.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I'm really comfortable in my own skin, so to say.
Oh no,
yeah, it's not the sober and anything else. It's the Broadway that's
it's just
I'm pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and a lot of the time I'm just running off anxiety, so it's like I'm kind of drunk anyway.
You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know he was sober.
You wouldn't even know.
No, I know. I mean, I've been around you. I just personally don't like being around drunk people like that in that setting when I'm sober. That gives me anxiety.
Also, it's like a girl that like looming over, like just drunk people.
I just like suddenly feel like I'm in danger all the time. Like I need to be watching my back because like you get drinks, you know, people put shit in your drinks, guys. Like shit's getting weird in Nashville.
Yeah,
like
true.
I went on a party bus the other night.
I've never done that. I'll never do that.
No,
and
being confined in a small space with a bunch of
what did you compare it to?
No.
Being on a bus and moving?
Have you ever been on a bandwagon before? They're like smaller bus. It's like a bucket truck, but it has eight bunks.
It's like a moving truck, but
it's a rough ride, but that's what I compared it to. But we went to the Beaver. What's it called? What Mcilwain? What's that?
Wild Beaver?
Wild Beaver. I felt like I wasn't even in Nashville. Yeah. But like we went in there and like it came like midnight, And I remember I like looked around. I was like, "This is about the time where the people watching gets like real awesome, real good,
especially at the Beaver."
I mean, if I could be in a somewhat like isolated space with some room around me to watch, like watch over, like I could sit and like chill and have a drink. But being in it, like being in a crowd, like I love playing for them. I do not like being in them. Yeah. Like Mitchell took me to my first like college football game last Christmas. We went to see, it was Tennessee and Vandy. And it was like, I mean, we went and tailgated, we were having fun, but then when everyone started filtering in, like it was just too many people for the space.
Has he made you a Vols fan now? Is he a Vandy guy?
He's actually an Alabama fan.
Oh, no, that's what I'm talking about.
His uncle played for them, so he's got family from Alabama.
That's awesome.
He cheers on the Volunteers too, but like Alabama's his team.
Roll Tide. I'm all about it.
College football's the same as Broadway.
I did not know
There's
that
too much
about
shoulder
him.
to shoulder.
Yeah, it was just like a lot of really like drunk, like obnoxious people, and I was like getting to the point where I was like getting squished in, which makes my chest feel like it's gonna explode. And I turned and looked at Mitchell. I was like, I'm gonna start making moves, and I just need you to try and keep up with me. And that's when I start getting that play, you're getting the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
I'm pushing you. I'm doing it because most people are drunk. They're not even gonna do anything. You just push them out of the way and just go.
How did y'all meet?
Mitchell? Well, I was sitting in a tree stand waiting on a deer, and my friend texted me and asked me if I would like wingman with her. She was gonna go on this blind date.
Which friend is this, by the way? Because
it was Haley.
I thought it was Haley. Somebody already.
Are you in Nashville at this point or no?
Yeah,
Canada?
I'm living there now. Yeah.
Cool.
I've been there maybe a year and a bit, about a year. So I'm like, all right, I can do that. You know, got to go make sure this guy's not going to make a lampshade out of her skin or like try and have sex with her with socks on.
Right there.
Just to let you in a little inside joke, we were talking about Trey wearing socks when he has sex. And I said, that's psycho killer shit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just don't take my socks off unless I need the grip.
I'm not gonna lie, Trey. I think it's
unless
fine.
I need the grip.
I think
Do
it's
you have
fine.
grippy socks?
Sometimes the power comes from the socks.
I'm gonna get you
I
grippy
genuinely
socks for your
am
birthday
disgusted.
then.
So what you're telling me is Jordan Rager wears socks.
Oh my God.
Jordan, gotta come back on,
All right,
buddy.
well, that's something I didn't need to know about Jordan. Jordan's like my brother.
And now you know something else about him.
Well,
Just
okay.
make a
So
mental
does everyone
picture
else.
right now. Just go all the way through.
So anyway, I was like, I texted her. I was like, yeah, I can do that.
We're gonna put Jordan on the screen.
I'm not gonna be allowed to do any more podcasts.
yeah, he's gonna put an end to that real quick. So anyway, I text her. I was like, yeah, I'm like, I can do that. I'm like, but like, I need to go home and shower and change. Like, I'm in full camo. I've got like dough and estrus on my boots. Like, I can't come to the bar like this. And she was like, no. Like, I need you to like, just come straight from there. Like, I literally just need you to just walk in with me, make sure I'm cool, and then you can go. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Because I didn't want to go out. Like, I literally was just going for her. And at the time, I was actually specifically trying to not date anybody. So I was like, great. I'm just going to go to the bar, not giving a fuck how I look, and then no guy's going to bother me, you know? Well, apparently that's the ultimate aphrodisiac for Mitchell Tenpenny. A girl walking into the bar in camo smelling like dough and estrus. He started rutting.
Give a country.
So then it was actually, I was about to leave, and then Dallas Wilson was in the back room, and for some reason, he had shaved half of his chest, and he had his like shirt over his head, and I like looked and I was like, what is this guy doing? And he pulls it down. I'm like, Dallas, what are you doing, dude? So I started talking to him. He introduces me to Mitchell, and he's talking to me. He's trying to lay on the Mitchell charm, and I was having none of it.
Yeah.
So then the next time, I kind of like left after a little while. I run into him again at Losers, like, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks later. And he walks up to me, he goes, hey, Miss Female Artist of the Year. And I was like, because I had just won at the CCMAs, and I was like, hey, and he goes, that's right, I creeped your Instagram. He goes, I was hard as a kneecap. And I was like, and I was kind of taken aback because it was really funny, but I also didn't know him. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if you're just really funny or if you're like a fucking creep. Like,
so guys out there, apparently that's the line.
Yeah, well,
that's how you
sounds
get.
like some Mitchell charm to me.
It didn't work that time either, though. I
That's how
still
you get a wife.
I still kind of blew him off. And then the third time, Jared Mullins texted me to play darts with him at Rebar. He was hanging out with Jordan Schmidt, who was one of Mitchell's best friends. Well, I guess I showed up and Jordan texted Mitchell like, hey, camo girls here or whatever he called me. So Mitchell came, and that was the first time also I think I talked to him where like we were not drunk.
Yeah.
And we were just it was like, afternoon, we just sat at the bar and started talking. We ended up hanging out the whole night. I was leaving like 2 days later to go on tour for a month in Canada. So I was like, fuck. Can't really be doing this right now. And like I told him that, and he was like, well, like I really like you. He's like, I mean, just go do your thing and like we'll talk, whatever. Yeah. So I left with no expectations. I'm like, he's gonna text me for maybe a week and then he'll just like ghost me and like whatever. So I just was like not open to it at all. And he texted me every day. We talked on the phone every day. And then like 3/4 of the way through the tour, he's like, so I kind of want to lock this down. Do you want a date? And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, cool. And then, so we get off the phone. I go out into the lounge in the bus, and the guys were like, so what did Mitchell say? And I was like, he said he wants to date. I'm like, but I don't even know what that means now. Like, like, are we exclusive? Yeah. Like, it's such a loose term. Yeah. Like,
he did say lock it down though.
Lock it down.
I know, but I was like, I need to know what that means. Like, and they're like, we should just ask him. And so I get back on the phone. I was like, okay, I don't want to make this weird, but like, what do you mean by like date? He's like, I mean, like, I don't want anybody else. Like, I'm committing to you while you're in cold ass Canada. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go back, we're having like drinks or whatever, and I get a text from him like 30 minutes later. So just to be clear, I can tell everyone you're my girlfriend, right? And I was like, yes. Yeah. And then it was like, when I finally got home, I was like, is this going to be weird? We kind of created this whole relationship like over the phone, you know? And it wasn't. It was awesome. And then it was, I think the biggest part for both of us that was so important is that we were very focused on our careers. We understood that about each other, and we gave each other the freedom, but we also made sure that the trust was there, that like, yes, I'm taking this freedom to go do my job, but that's all I'm doing. Yeah. I would never, Mitchell would never fuck around on me, and vice versa. And I know that, and that's why I married him, because I've never thought that about another man in my entire life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is important.
I think it's good too, in a healthy sense. Like, when you're both really like, all right. So the girl that I date, we've broken up and gotten back together like 3 times,
6 times,
6 times. But like, it was never because of cheating or anything like that. Yeah. We're just needed to be, we just had to figure some things out.
You're trying to figure some stuff out by yourself.
Like, it's I mean, I hated myself. I had to figure that out, But like now it's like, we don't get a lot of time together, but when we do get time together, it's like we're like so pumped to be around each other, But it's
the time is healthy. It's better.
So healthy to have that balance, you know what I mean?
It's necessary.
Well, I've just always thought that I would never be able to be in a relationship because music does come first.
Me too. It always has. I've literally said to a guy, like, I don't like, if you make me choose, you won't like what I choose. Like, it won't be you. And that's not because I don't love you. It's just, I shouldn't have to choose.
Yeah.
And that's never even
the right person won't make you choose.
Yeah, the right person won't. Yeah. And the fact that not only, yes, he gives me that, but also he fully understands it because he's doing it too. And, we lift each other up, and like, it's hard sometimes. Sometimes one of us is here and one of us is down here.
Oh yeah.
And that's where
Eggshell Sundays.
It's like, and it's just like, that's where a lot of like relationship lessons are learned, when the person up here needs to learn a little bit of grace and like understanding for the person that's like suffering down here. Yeah. And the person down here has to be like, make sure that the person up here understands that like they are proud and happy for them and celebrate them and their successes, even though they're struggling.
Yeah, and it's like those moments where you're like, I probably shouldn't say this, so I'm not going to say this. What I mean?
It's like I want to say this because it's how I feel, but it's only going to hurt them, and it's not fair to them because they earned this moment. They deserve all of this happiness, and I'm not going to be the one to like ruin this moment for them. And that, I think, was a very like one of the most key lessons that we learned very quickly in our relationship, because our whole relationship is going to be that. Like, I mean, I will hope and pray that there will be a lot of times where we're both just chilling, like right around here, just cruising together. But it's just, the reality is that's not how this industry works. So,
how was planning a wedding and trying to have a career at the same time?
Okay, I'll say this.
Yeah, I'm sure you helped out with that a pretty good bit, huh?
Well,
my job is just like mainly to keep Meghan calm.
Yeah. I'll say this, before we got a wedding planner, it was the most stressful thing on the planet, because
100 I played weddings for years, so I'm with you.
It just like,
That's why we eloped.
and because, because like Mitchell has a really big family. I've got family in Canada. Like I've got family all over. There's a lot of logistics. Like where are we going to do it? How, like all this shit is so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Weddings are crazy. I'm in the wrong industry. And so it was super stressful. But when we got our wedding planner, Kelsey Angelotti, putting her name out there because that woman,
shout out, free shout out,
and she deserves it because that woman like saved everything. She was incredible. She was so great to work with. It like literally, not to get all like mushy, but like it was like a dream. The whole day was literally perfect from start to finish. Like everything looked amazing. It ran smoothly. We had the best weather. It was perfect.
At Larry's too.
At Larry's.
Yeah.
At a, Larry, he's like a second dad or like a grandfather to me. And Miss Robin, like they've been family to me. I met them when I first moved here because I shot a music video there.
Yeah, I shot the Dick Down Dallas remix video there.
Yeah.
And Larry's like, man, I love that boy Trey, but if I ever hear that song again.
I can imagine him saying that.
But he's awesome. Like, I'll just hit
He's
him
the
up.
best.
I'll be like, man, I'll be like, man, can I come fish today? He's like, absolutely.
And that's like him and Miss Robin are so generous, the way they just like take us in like little orphan children, like Larry knew when I was shooting that video, he knew I just moved there and I didn't really know anybody. And so he was like, yeah, you come out here. He's like, there's a lot of like writers and artists and musicians that hang out here on Sundays. We just grill some food, shoot some ski, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love all those things. And so like I met like Kristen Kelly out there. And then just Ashley McBride.
That's how I met Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now there's even more people that I know that are like coming out there and they just let us all come and like enjoy the little piece of heaven they have there. I mean, that wedding it wasn't a huge wedding, but it wasn't small, and they let us just take over the whole house, the whole place, and it was perfect.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Their land is badass. I love that place.
It's beautiful. It has everything.
I was so scared. We went fishing there recently, and Trey was like, we're going to stop at the house. I'd been there a couple times. He's like, we're going to stop at the house and walk in. And so I'm like following his lead. And he just walks up to the door and just like walks in.
Robin was in there.
And I'm like, dude, what? And she's like, hey, how are y'all? Like,
It took me a while to get to that. I used to go and I'd like knock on the door and Larry he goes, Megan, if you knock on that door one more time, he just walk right in. I was like, because I was like, okay, all right. And now that's how it is. You just walk in there, like they make it, their home is your home. They're just two of the best people I know.
It's great.
and their land is incredible. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. I love how close.
Shot my first solo turkey there.
Nice.
Place is awesome.
And it's close to town. It's great.
Oh yeah.
This is like a this or that thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to say something, and you say if you would choose it in America or Canada.
Okay.
Fast food.
America.
Okay, what's your favorite fast food?
Culver's.
Oh, good choice.
That's a Midwestern thing.
I recently
They have
went
them here now.
I went to Canada, and there is no fast food. There's like an A&W or something like that.
A&W is pretty good, but I've had way too much of it because it's the only thing on the road when you're touring.
And Wendy's. That
Wendy's,
was it.
McDonald's, Burger King. There's one called Harvey's. Really good burgers, actually.
I went to Wendy's and asked for sweet and sour in Canada, and they gave me something called plum sauce.
The look of disgust on his face.
I literally was like, oh, fuck no. Like, I didn't even eat it. I remember getting to the hotel because it looks like sweet and sour. And I got to the hotel and I was like, what the fuck is this?
It is. It's a pretty gross taste if you're expecting sweet and sour for sure.
Awful.
Mitch was just like saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
He's
and
got
this,
some
like,
serious beef with
Wendy's,
plum
like,
sauce.
Well, like, we played a show and we were going home late at night and I was so hungry and the runner was taking us to a dispensary.
Who are you with?
I was on the road with Kane.
Oh, yeah.
And we were going to a dispensary and I was like, hey, I'm fucking starving. Like, is there anywhere to eat? And I'm like looking out the window before I say anything. There's no fast food, no fast food, no fast food. And finally I spoke up. I was like, hey, dude, you got to take me to some fast food before you take me back to the hotel. And he took me to a Wendy's that was way out of the way. Like, here, there's fast food on every block. It's not like that there.
Oh yeah.
Shopping.
I mean, here. But I mean, I guess just compared to like where I grew up in a pretty small town, so it wasn't like a metropolis of great shopping. You know,
Bad drivers.
Here, 1,000%.
They're worse here.
Absolutely. In fact, maybe the worst drivers of any place I've ever lived.
Same. Like, it's not even close.
Like, my road rage has gone tenfold since I moved
Randy,
here.
you're from where again?
I'm from Central Illinois.
Okay.
Like cornfields.
Yeah.
So like whenever you're driving and touring and it's just like really flat and there's corn, middle of one of those.
Nice. And hey, well, we'll get back to this, but you recently just got married, right?
I did, yes.
Congrats.
We eloped. We drove across the country to Joshua Tree.
To a damn good
did
guy.
Jordan's parents get mad, or were they cool with it?
Loaded question.
Here we go.
They were definitely better about it than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Obviously everybody wanted to be there and all that. And I told Jordan, you should have started setting that bar lower like I did. Not one person in my family was surprised.
Yeah.
Like, not at all. They're just like, oh, that's cool.
Did
like,
Jordan tell you that he was going to get engaged, or did he keep it kind of? He was going to be asking.
I don't think he told me before, because I think we were like supposed to write and then it got moved or something. We were like supposed to see each other.
Jenna Master was the one person.
Because she was in
I
a
don't
ride
think
with
he
him
told
and he
us
like
so.
let it slip. Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think
he had it in his backpack, I guess, when he was writing. And Jenna was like, are you ever going to get married? And he was like, so funny story.
Like he's like just had to tell someone.
The ring's right there.
Yeah.
I ran into him at Live Oak, and he was like, "Yeah, we're just going up to Chicago to hang out. It's our favorite city."
I kind of figured it out
And
because he told me to get my nails done.
Oh yeah.
That's a dead giveaway. That's not fair for us guys anymore.
And then, like, at one point in time, he was like, "You never know, it might be the best birthday you've ever had." And it was like, but it was like Jordan, and it
Very
was like,
subtle, Jordan.
like direct eye contact too, like, and I was just like,
What a dork. Oh my God.
and then when we got to the hotel, he
love
like
that.
wouldn't put his backpack down for anything. Like he kept like he carried it back. He's like, "I'm gonna go move the car."
I just love
and I
that
was
he
like,
had it in a backpack. That's so Jordan.
yeah.
So are you like poking at him like, can I get something out of your backpack?
Yeah.
No, like I didn't even have to. He literally just was like he took it with him to the car, like when he just went to move it. And he was like, "Well, just in case I need anything out of the car." And I was like,
But you still didn't expect it.
I
Like,
didn't expect it at the time because we were going to dinner and we had like reservations at 7 and it was like 6:50. So I was like, "Oh, okay, he's probably gonna do it like tonight."
Yeah.
Like when that, and then so when he did drop down, I was not expecting it. I knew it was like sometime that weekend. So then I had to look.
What about the viral video? Did he like video doing it? Or did y'all? Was that a reenactment, or was that?
No, he. I taught him how to take take pictures of ourselves. We do like self timer like video, and then I just screenshot the actual pictures I like. So he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna we'll take a picture on the balcony at the hotel," and he put the self timer on, and then he had 1 minute to do it.
Damn, that's smart.
Yeah.
And then he didn't ask. Actually, he forgot. Like we got back in the room, and I was like, "Did you ask?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh no, will you marry me?" And I was like, "Yeah."
That's awesome. All right, I guess since she told her story, you gotta tell your story. How you got asked?
Well, it was Thanksgiving weekend, and Mitchell, my parents, like my dad and my stepmom and my sister and like the kids were coming into town that day. And Mitchell had said to me like a week before, he's like, "Hey, so Wednesday night, I know like your family's getting in." He's like, "But there's like a Friendsgiving hang at Losers like that afternoon." He's like, "I was thinking we could just stop by for like one drink and then we'll go for dinner or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Great." And so we're good. And then my parents get there. We're hanging out at the house, and Mitchell was kind of being weird. Like he was very like anxious. He was kind of like pacing around. I guess my dad at one point, I like went outside. My dad was like, "Bro, you got to chill out." Like you got to chill out
together.
Because he knew he had like, asked for my dad's blessing and stuff. And so then all of a sudden Mitchell's like, "Hey," he's like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "I got to go to the studio with Jordan to like finish a couple things last minute. Like we're on a deadline." He's like, "Can I like do you want to just meet me there? Like you go with your family and I'll meet you there." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." I'm like, "You good?" I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, I'm stressed. I just got to get these songs done." I was like, "Okay."
Did you even know it was up, or you?
I there was maybe a small piece of me that thought he might do it that weekend because like we'd been talking about it and like my family was going to be there. So I thought maybe he might do something. I did not at all expect that night though. So anyway, I go with my sister and we pull up, and who was it? Oh, the security guard. He like came out and he was like, "Hey," he's like, "Just so you know," he's like, you gotta go in through the front." I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." But he was like being kind of weird about it. I'm like, no one's ever.
He had one job.
Yeah, like no one's ever like run out to me and be like, "Hey, you have to go in through the front." So like we go around, we walk in, and like the front of the bar is just like normal. So I still don't think anything. And as I'm getting closer to the back room, I'm like, all of a sudden I see like rose petals and freaking candles and like pictures and a freaking light up sign that says marry me. And Mitchell's standing there and all of our like family's there. And I was just like, oh my God. Because, the back room, that's where we met.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, when I got up there, I feel like we both kind of blacked out. Like we don't even really know what we said. Like there was a video, so I'd have to go back and like watch it, like with the audio. But like it was just crazy, and I don't know. It was awesome. It's badass. It was a great night having everybody there too. Yeah, he nailed it.
I also have to say though, Mitchell told us all the day before, and he said it so casually that when me and Jordan went home, we're like, So Mitchell is proposing tomorrow, right? Because he was like,
and we were at Losers.
We were at Tin Roof. He had just done Revival, and you were standing like from me to you, right there. And he was like, so if you guys are in town tomorrow, I'm gonna ask Meghan to marry me. Do y'all want to come by? And like we were like, she's right there. And we're like, are you being serious? And he was like, yeah. We were like, I'm to tell her, like, and he told us like, like it's like I'm telling her it's Friendsgiving or whatever, and we're like, yeah, like absolutely, like we'll be there no matter what. And then we got in the car and we're like, that was real, right?
Yeah. Okay, well here's the other clincher too. So Steve at Losers, he had also sent me like an Evite thing for a Friendsgiving thing at Losers. Yeah, I didn't even look at it because I didn't realize it was on a different night. It was like for 2 nights later. Oh, no. I just saw the Friendsgiving thing. I was like, oh, it's the thing Mitchell was talking about on Wednesday. Didn't even look at the date. And so, like, thankfully, me being that way worked out for me and Mitchell.
So, just because I'm curious, I feel like this is something other people would be curious about. So, like, your ring, like, how did he go about picking it out? Because, like, when I got married, back in the day, when I made that terrible decision to the wrong person,
did you get a good ring, or did you pick it out?
I mean, I was broke back there. Back then, I think I spent $700 on the ring. But
I mean, I don't really want anything super expensive. That's a lot of pressure.
Does he like call your mom to know what you get? Like, girls have their rings picked out, right?
Yeah, I sent some links of like a couple that I liked.
Are you okay?
She's having a little beer burp over there.
Sorry. I was trying to be so quiet and discreet about it, and it was huge. Like, when it surprises you.
Yeah.
I feel like I heard that bubble.
I can't hear anything.
Sorry.
I can't hear anything. I just saw my peripheral. She was like,
I was like, oh.
Okay,
sorry, I didn't do it without you.
I sent him a couple options because finally he looked at me one day when we were driving, and he was just like, will you just like, if you come across, you don't have to go looking or anything like that, but like if you come across something you like, will you like send it my way?
Yeah.
And I think I had sent him a couple, and he said this was the one I like wouldn't stop talking about.
Yeah,
that's pretty baller.
I was not that nice about it to Mitchell. No, not like it wasn't. No, I was just like, I told him because he was like, oh, it was Jordan and Renee had gone ring shopping. They called us to tell us, and like. He's like, like we could go ring shopping. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just go somewhere and like walk in and like pick a ring. I'm like, I want you to pick something. And like, it's something that's from you to me, not just you going in and buying me something.
No pressure at all.
You know what I mean?
Could you pick out something I wear every single day?
But I was like, look, I'm like, I've sent my sister a bunch of things that I like, a general idea of what I would like. And I just want you to look at it, and because you have great taste. I'm like, everything you've ever bought me, I've loved. Like, you know what I like.
Yeah.
I want it to be like from you. So the poor guy, he was like, well, I'm not going to spend all this money on a ring if you're not going to like it. I'm like, but I'm going to like it. Like, you just need to understand that if you give it to me and you pick it out, I'm going to love it. Like, it's not about that. Yeah. And so he, absolutely crushed it. Yeah. He did great.
What's that thing?
He added, so I wanted the one thing I said, I wanted that salt and pepper diamond, like the darker diamond.
That's awesome.
And we both love turquoise. It's kind of our thing. And so he added the turquoise band. So yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah. I've been pre-warned if I ever do it again, I got to call the mom, sister, and best friend.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, what else is going on? You got any music? You want to finish those questions over there?
I just want to talk about my first time being called Mitchell Tenpenny. I was in Rome, Georgia, and me and my roommate, Clay Barker, we traveled up to a Riley Green show, and Mitchell played the weekend before.
Was I selling merch?
Maybe. I don't know. But we're like in like the sound booth area with Bradley Jordan, and someone comes up behind me and like taps me on the shoulder. and they're like, "Hey man, are you Mitchell?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" Like, cause like nobody calls me Mitchell.
Right. You
So
go
I'm
by
like,
Mitch.
I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, dude?" And he's like, "Man, I just wanted to say I love your music." And I was like, "What?" and he was like, "I just love your music, man. I was here last week at your show." And I was like, "Oh, no, dog. I'm not Mitchell Tenpenny." And he was like, "It's cool, man. I got you. I won't tell nobody." And I was like, "All right, cool."
You know what? Let the guy think.
He walks away. And then probably like 30 minutes later, 3 girls come up to me.
Oh, no. He did not have your back.
And they're like, "Hey, are you Mitchell?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And then I'm like, "Whoa, no.
Yeah.
And like, then they had a guy with him, and he was like, "Dude, you don't have to be a dick about it. Like, we just wanted a picture." And I was like, "No, I'm not Mitchell Tenpenny."
Yeah. Like,
And they were like, "Then why did you just say that you're Mitchell so naturally? Like, you like instantly said yes." And I was like, "Because I am Mitchell, but I'm not Mitchell Tenpenny."
Yeah.
Mitchell Wallis.
And he was like, "Whatever, dude. You don't have to be a dick." And like
Did you have
walked
to like
away.
show your driver's license?
Yeah, no, this guy walked away, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
There's a guy in Rome, Georgia, that's like,
Who hates my husband?
fuck that Mitchell Tenpenny guy.
At this point,
Sorry, babe.
Bradley Jordan thinks it's fucking hilarious. He's
Right.
like taking pictures, sending them to Mitchell. And I'm like, dude, this is stressful. But then another person came up and was like, "Are you Mitchell?" I said, "I am not Mitchell Tenpenny." And he was like, "Dude, I just want a picture." And I was like, "Fuck it." So I like, took a picture with him. And so then like later that night, it's like fucking 2 a.m. at this point, and we're like walking by like the Bull. And I remember someone came up and handed me a beer and was like, "I love your fucking music." And I was like, "Thank you, dog." Have a good night." And at this point, I was like, "Fuck
I think
it,
Mitchell
I'm
would be
over
happy
it."
to know that he got you a free beer.
I was like, "Thank you, dog." And then recently, probably like a month ago, I went to Chick-fil-A on Church Street, and I was like waiting for them to call my name inside to get my food. And I noticed this girl was looking at me and taking photos of me like this.
Oh, I hate that.
You know,
It's so
like,
weird.
Zooming in.
Yeah.
She's like looking casual like this, but her phone is like
Oh
looking
my
at
God.
me.
Like, I know what you're doing, bro.
It's like the
And
yoga
I'm like,
pants story.
this is fucking weird. And I was like, what the fuck is going on with her? But whatever. And then they're like, "Order for Mitchell." And she's like, and I'm like, no, like,
I knew it was him. I knew it.
I grabbed my food and just like darted out.
Oh my God.
And it happened
There's a lot of people out here thinking Mitchell's just a dick.
all the fucking time. And you played at the Rusty Nail.
Oh God.
I forget why I was there very recently, like a week or two ago.
Not long ago, yeah.
And I saw somebody pointing at me saying, "There's Mitchell."
Mitchell was there too.
And then y'all walked in, and I was like, hopefully they figured out that that guy's Mitchell.
Yes, Jew Mitchell
Like,
Tenpenny.
not fucking me.
Yeah.
Imagine they're just like, "Oh my God, did you see Megan? She was making out with some other dude." And Mitchell's right there.
We have this. Mcilwain has Mcilwain Mondays now at the Rusty Nail, so it's a cool round.
I have
It is a great
PTSD
round.
just
Yeah.
speaking
And then
I
I
don't
met
know.
you at in Memphis, the St. Jude thing.
Oh yeah.
I was running Mitchell's socials for his album, and I
That's
came up
right.
to you and was like, "Will you make this video on his TikTok?"
I forgot about
like,
that.
because I was sitting there, I was like,
And
dude,
you literally just came up out of nowhere randomly, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, would you make this video?" I was like,
I was like,
okay.
this would be fucking perfect. Like, cause you know, like everybody's trying to freak out, like figure out good ideas, like off the wall ideas. They're like, we need something creative. And I was like, dude, Meghan Patrick's right there. And I was like, what if I just go ask her to make a fucking shout out for the album?
Yeah.
And like, I went up and you were like, "Oh, fucking course." And I was like, sweet. And I was like, do I need to get it like approved by a team? And you're like, "No, I'll tell them I said it's cool." And I was like, perfect.
Oh, you found me in I do what I want era.
Yeah, that
I was
was
like,
great.
no, we're doing it.
That's great.
the era of I do what I want.
MFP.
The era of MFP.
Yes.
So you got music coming out?
I do. We just announced last night at the Opry, Greatest Show on Dirt comes out on Friday. It is the title track to my EP that comes out
Awesome.
May 5th. So when you pre-save
Sweet.
the EP, you get Greatest Show on Dirt on Friday. And it also ships to Canadian radio on Friday,
Oh,
Oh,
sweet.
nice.
Congratulations.
which is good. It's been a while. I've been kind of off radio and like haven't released music. I mean, it's coming up.
COVID was weird for you.
Code was weird. I also lost my record deal at Warner, which was what I wanted. I mean, it was
Yeah.
the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
But it just sucked because they, there was a lot of feet dragging and like just people I was pushing to put out music and they were pushing back and like it sucked because I really, it got into my head. Like I really started thinking, because I'm like, these songs are fucking sick. Like I have other people that I know, like that I respect telling me these songs are great. Like, and they're telling me, "Oh, well, you just don't have it yet. We don't have the songs yet, blah, blah, blah," and not letting me put out music. And I'm just feeling like stuck, And I got so fucking pissed off that I just started writing the best songs ever because I stopped, because the problem was like COVID took everything away and it scared me because I was just like clawing, trying to hold on to my career. And I was like, I started chasing things I didn't need to chase. I started chasing other people's opinions of me and who I needed to be and what I needed to do to like get back on top, you know, and because I was desperate and like also like financially too, not in a great place, honestly, which it hadn't been like that for me in a long time. It was very humbling and like frustrating. And, but it triggered me to write the songs that I'm releasing now, and they're some of the best that I've ever written. And so I honestly feel like had I not been like kind of pushed to the edge like that and like forced to just decide that I had to keep believing in myself when it felt like no one else was, I probably wouldn't have written those songs. Yeah. So, and then, you know, I found Randy and like that was the last piece of the puzzle. Everything changed really quickly since we started working together. I mean, I basically told her and I told Riser House, you know, I was like, look, this has been the worst 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm going to release music constantly. I want an EP and I want a full length record. I want to be on the road as much as possible. Those are my goals and that's what I'm going to be focused on. And if you're on board with that, great. If not, respectfully, I need to go do my own thing. And Randy was in my corner and she had my back on that. And we went into the label and they said, all right, we're with you.
Yeah, I literally wrote up like...
But she changed that energy.
I wrote up like, if you let me do whatever I want in 2023, like here's my ideal plan. Assuming like there's going to be back and forth. So I went like exactly...
You went for everything.
I went for exactly how I wanted 2023 to look. And they looked at me and they said, let's do it.
Hell yeah.
And
I mean, that just makes me fired up. That makes me want to hear the fucking music.
I can't tell you, like,
you know what I mean?
And here's the thing too, this EP... I love this EP. I think it's an incredible representation of where I'm going, but it's also just the tip of the iceberg on the rest of the music I have coming this year. Like I've never been so excited or proud of something I've created. So it's just, it really is truly me. Like in a authentic way. I think I've always been authentic as much as I was able to at the place I was at in my life, you know, and learning how to like be in the public eye and all of that. And now I really am truly like comfortable in my own skin and confident in myself. And I just feel very rooted. I have a great team. I have a great husband, you know, like I have so many blessings in life and I'm just in a healthy place to like do what I want to do.
Yeah. And I think that's what every artist should be doing. They should be doing exactly what they want to do with the things you just said. A good team,
people that believe in them.
Yes. People that believe in them.
It's hard to find. And at the end of the day, I think like what it comes down to is like, you have to check what your core motivations are behind doing this. And for me, of course, like money and success is a motivation. Like I want to make a living. I don't want to be poor. I've been broke. I don't want to be broke. But the core motivation is that I love it. I fucking love it. Yeah. I love being on stage. I love writing songs. I love being able to like have an impact on people
that most people don't love.
Yeah.
Right. And and it's if you're in it to like just be successful or make money, that can be exhausting and like really deteriorating to your soul. And it's just can make you miserable. And it's like that you see people that have lots of money and success that are miserable. And then you see people that have lots of money and success and they are not miserable. Like, you know, and I'll never presume to know anybody's personal life, but like I would look at someone like Luke Combs, you know, because I know that you obviously know him well being part of the Make Wake family. And I really look up to him because I think the way that he's built his career and his fans, the way he treats people, you know, the kind of morals and way of doing things that him and Cappy have that has trickled down into the whole team at Make Wake, you know, that is like the model to me that I kind of look up to because I feel like these are good people who they don't sacrifice or degrade their morals to get what they're doing. They don't step on other people to get there and they do it in a way that's like authentic, you know, and I think that's unfortunately more rare in this town than it should be. So I feel very grateful to have landed there.
Yeah.
I think it's rare to even notice stuff like that as an artist. I think that's very like
I've just seen the worst of the worst. It's because I have been through hell and back. Like that's a whole other podcast, to be honest. I've seen the worst of the worst, and so you know it makes you humble and it makes you compassionate and kinder, I think, and it makes you really, really grateful when you find the right people, and it makes you want to do the right thing for them, and that's I think really important.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. Well, thank y'all for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank y'all for watching episode 35 of the DM Monday podcast. Be sure to rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. We love y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
All the songs the band can play, there they go cranking up yours. Ran into your friend, oh, what's her name? She keeps bringing up yours. Let it rain, high pole, you ain't mine no more. I thought whiskey's supposed to drown a memory, but it just keeps on stirring up yours. I know you ain't got a tab in here, but if you did, I'd run